You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, indeed. Your team every day. Welcome into the Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Rockies crossover postcast on the Locked On Sports LA and Denver YouTube channels, the place to hang out when every game is done. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. He is Aniello Piro for Mile High Sports, covering everything Denver, everything Colorado. A good game tonight, Aniello. It's been a while. God, I can't believe it. It feels like forever. The last one we did together was a fiery series. What's his name out in right field, yelling and screaming at the umpires? Jake Cave, who is only 31, but looks like he's 51. The guy has more gray hair than I do. I'm like, what's going on? How old is that dude? But anyway, a fiery dude. Didn't do a whole lot tonight, but yeah, they flashed back to that on the Dodger broadcast to start the game, which was kind of cool. I'm like, wow, that seems like forever ago. I looked back, it was middle of June. So nice to see you again, dude. I'm glad we're here, and a fun game tonight. Dodgers win at 6-4, but lots of long balls, lots of action, lots of pitchers, lots go at Shohei doing his thing again. Turns out this guy's pretty good. You know, he can play a little.
Yeah, he's all right. First 50-50 season in Major League Baseball history. He can pitch, even though he's not doing that this season. He's all right. But no, it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you, my friend. And not much has changed with both of our teams. The Dodgers have just been winning and winning and winning. The Rockies have been losing and losing and losing. But we're getting close to the end of the season. Looks like you guys are going to have that extended season, of course, with the playoffs, while the Rockies season will come to a merciful end. And stop me if you've heard this before, Pete. The Rockies blew a lead today to lose the game. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Well, yeah, it was because of Shohei Ohtani. What a masterful piece of hitting that was. I am amazed and critical of Shohei Ohtani because his hitting is just so bizarre. And it is amazing, and it is uncharacteristic of anything you teach anybody, right? And that was another perfect example of the superhuman strength and the ability to take a ball that most people would foul off and launch it 435 feet or 423 feet into the outfield. I mean, the bat speed on that ball up and a fastball up and in. It was good, 8 inches, 12 inches out of the zone, and it was in. He pulled his hands in, got the barrel of the bat through the ball, and it was a no-doubter. You're like, that should be a pop-up at best, but that's a home run, right? It's just today, after what happened yesterday, I think everyone felt like, well, he's just, we can't miss a swing. He's going to homer every time up. Listen to this number, 9 of 17 with runners in scoring position after that home run, and a OPS of over 1900. I don't think I've seen numbers like that before. Much like the Dodger reliever Logie, who got sent down to the minors after 2 fairly abysmal performances, he had an infinite ERA after his first outing, faced 3 hitters. They all got on and all scored. So his ERA was INF, infinite. Then he had a decent outing where he gave up only like 1 run on 2 hits or something, and it came down to 18, and the Dodgers sent him back to Albuquerque, or Oklahoma City rather. So yeah, those are numbers you just don't see. I mean, yesterday was unbelievable, specifically from the standpoint of the people that joined our postcast yesterday. Numbers we've never seen before. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in yesterday, because we hit a number that we've never even come close to, over 7,000 views just on YouTube. Wow. And that has nothing to do with the downloads of the audio, wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I feel like what we're watching right now is so remarkable. It's just mind boggling. You just sit there in awe. You go, wow. I mean, there are no words to describe it anymore. We've run out of superlatives.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some really good baseball players in my time, growing up with the Yankees and all that kind of stuff, Ken Griffey Jr., right? Some all-time greats. I've never seen this before. And I texted my dad, Shohei Ohtani just hit home run number 52 tonight with a laughing emoji, because that's all I can do right now is just sit back, relax, and kind of just watch the show. And I'll be the first to admit it. I was a little bit of a Shohei skeptic when he first got to the big leagues with the Angels. I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. There's always, pitching and hitting, comes from Japan, different skill level. And not only has he surpassed every single expectation, he solidified himself, Pete, as legitimately one of, if not the greatest baseball player of all time. And I know that there is plenty of time left in his career. And to talk about the adversity that he's had to face this season as well. Going back to the start of the year with his translator and that whole dynamic hasn't bothered him whatsoever. And look, I was very happy when he signed with the Dodgers personally because I get to see him more up close and personal when the Dodgers come to town. So it is Shohei Ohtani's world, and we're just living in it, my friend.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I do believe, though, that the pitching takes away from the hitting. I mean, I think it's an awesome experiment that we got to see it this year where it's just him hitting. I don't think he could do this if he was pitching. It doesn't. There's just no way. I mean, no one has that much energy. He's still a very effective hitter when he's pitching. And when you do both, obviously you're even more valuable to a team. But this is nice to see what he's capable of when he's not pitching, right? And yeah, I mean, it was funny. I was out throwing some trash away, and my neighbors were, I don't know, doing some yard work, and my neighbor knows that I do this, so he's like, Shohei, what about Shohei? He's a Dodger fan, blah blah blah. How about Shohei? He wanted to talk Shohei, and then the other neighbor was like, greatest of all time. What do you guys think? Greatest of all time? And my first neighbor goes, time will tell. I mean, it's hard to say right now, but I mean, yeah, that day yesterday was, I don't know if it is the greatest. I mean, it's arguable because there are two other days that are in the same conversation. 6 for 6, 2 stolen bases, 3 home runs, and 10 RBI. So, anything close to that was hitting Mark Whitten in 1993. He had 12 RBI with 4 home runs, a grand slam, 2 3-run homers, and a 2-run homer, but only 4 home runs, right? Or 4 hits, 4 for 4, where Shohei was 6 for 6. And I think when you throw in the stolen bases, that kind of gives it a leg up, right? And then some guy named Tommy something or other from like 1924, played for the Cards, did it against the Brooklyn Robins, obviously before they became the Dodgers. He was 6 for 6 as well, 12 RBI, but only 2 home runs. And again, no stolen bases. So yeah, without a doubt, one of the greatest days of all time. And then to come out today and, he struck out in his first at bat, but then hit another home run that put the Dodgers ahead, went 3 for 3, legged out an infield hit, which was spectacular because that ball was way on the outside and not the kind of pitch that, you should be pulling. I mean, it was all the way in the right-handed hitter's box, and he pulls it down the first base line and then legs out the double because babyface Tolia couldn't get it off to the pitcher. But that guy, by the way, that guy's a good hitter, man. He looks like he's 16 years old, but really, really good hitter. He's got some big potential there for sure.
Yeah, the Rockies are full of potential. Brenton Doyle, and I know we talked a lot last time about Ezekiel Tovar. That kid's the truth, man. He's the absolute truth. He's the future of the Rockies. And I know we've got some comments talking about like back in the good old days, the Rockies lineup, used to always just be a pitching problem. The last 2 years, it's been a combination of pitching and poor hitting. They've got some nice players in that lineup. It's just going to take them a while to develop. But I mean, it's just sensational what we're seeing right now from the Dodgers and the polar opposite, right? And how aggressive the Dodgers are in drafting and developing and trading and doing all the things the right way. Here's something for the Dodger fan out there to give you a perspective of how the Rockies operate. Ryan McMahon, their third baseman, the lone all-star from the Rockies this year, actually a California kid as well. He went to Dick Monfort, the Rockies owner, at the All-Star break and said that he did not want to be traded. And Dick Monfort was like, all right, we won't trade you then. Even though he was probably their most valuable trade chip. And it's just watching the same thing over and over and over again. And whenever these two teams clash, sometimes the Rockies are going to get some wins, of course. It's just polar opposites in regards to how these franchises operate. But I'm optimistic about the Rockies' future. I do think they have some good young talent. It's just going to take them a minute to, form this thing into something that's formidable at the big league level.
Well, the thing I want to talk about after the break, there are a couple of different things. I want to get into the bullpen day for the Dodgers because a lot of the guys in the comments want to talk about that. Everyone saw the game, so I won't call out the relievers we can't trust. Nice win. Good job, Roy. Yes, there are two sore thumbs there. I don't know that Vesia is one of them, but we'll get into that. But here's the question I have for you, Aniello, is do you think, is what Shohei is doing right now so infectious that it can carry the entire team? I look at it and go, I hope so, but I don't know. So we'll talk about that after the break because obviously it's infectious to us as fans. It seems like it would be impossible that it's not, but we'll discuss because without a doubt, it is fun to watch. He's Aniello Piro, covering all the Denver teams, Locked On Rockies, Locked On, what do you got over there? The
Buffs, Broncos,
Nuggets, and Buffaloes, and the Broncos. Yeah. So Mile High Sports is where you can find him when he's not doing this. And I'm Pete Fox with the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. We'll come back and get into more of this 6-4 win for the Dodgers, win number 92 on the season. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Dodgers Rockies crossover postcast is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. You don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses. That's remarkable right there. Kind of like everything Shohei does. You deposit money, you get a 1% bonus, and you can be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on your IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. The generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. Another fantastic deal. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. All right, the Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Rockies crossover postcast on the Locked On LA and Denver YouTube channels. We thank you guys for jumping in the chat and leaving comments and watching us. 6-4 win for the Dodgers. The Shohei excitement is definitely palpable and continuing and rolling on. They even had some wacky, I don't know if you saw it on the Rockies broadcast, but they had some 50-50 food special, I guess, where you could get they had fries with goat cheese on it. Right. I'm like, come on, that's
interesting. Sounds like LA.
Garlic fries, yes, but goat cheese fries, no, I don't think so. And then I think they had like a chicken and probably a hamburger, the 50-50 thing. So I'm sure it cost $37.50 to purchase that thing. It was in a home plate shaped box, and everyone was talking about it. But I was happy to see that Shohei kept it rolling, a stolen base today and a home run. So he's now 52-52, and everyone's talking about 60-60. Let's not get crazy. There are only 8 games left, but anything's possible with this guy. And the thing that I have pointed out a few times throughout the season, Aniello, is that Shohei is a very, very good high leverage hitter, but he is an even better low leverage hitter. When nothing is on the line, he is, very good. He's still really good when there are things on the line, but it's not, if you compare just those two elements of his hitting, he's better in low leverage situations. So I look at this and I go, I feel like Shohei Ohtani right now that he's hit the 50-50 mark, is ramping up towards the postseason. Can the Dodgers team as a whole, these other guys who are probably Hall of Famers, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, can these guys feed off of what he's doing right now?
Well, you better hope so, because if they can't feed off what Shohei Ohtani is doing right now, I don't know what else you could possibly feed off of. And to your point, he's heating up at the right time. And it feels like in baseball, maybe more so than the other sports, when you get to the playoffs, it's about generating that momentum and riding that momentum through the playoffs. I mean, look at the Diamondbacks last year. Who had the Diamondbacks as the National League representative in the World Series? Not me, not you, probably not many people, and so it's about generating momentum. And like I said, at the end of the day, what he's doing is just so spectacular that if you're in that clubhouse, I feel like you probably wake up every day and you're like, I got to do my part, right? You got to try to figure out a way to try to feed off the energy that he's putting out there right now. So it's been spectacular to watch. And let me say one thing. I was thinking about this on the drive over. I hope the Dodger fan does not hate me for saying this. They're a little bit like the Dallas Cowboys, where it comes to great regular season team. They get to the playoffs and things just kind of don't work out, whether it's bad pitching, untimely offense. And one point that I actually heard on the Rockies radio broadcast tonight is not that it's ever easy to be a big league player, but when you get into the playoffs, opposing teams are going to do everything in their power to try to neutralize Ohtani and Freeman and Betts. So how are the guys that are hitting 8th and 9th? I'm talking Max Muncy, Paez, some of these other guys. What are they going to be able to do to contribute to try to take some of that pressure off of the Dodgers superstars?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Betts and Freeman right now. They were 0 for again today. Both of them. And I don't know if they're just caught up in the excitement and just watching and like, wow, this is cool. Oh, by the way, I got to go hit myself. Teoscar had a home run. That was nice. Pajes had a home run. There was a lot of question as to whether or not he was going to be on the postseason roster. I think he's solidified himself with his run since August 3rd. He's now got an average right at 300, maybe 299, 9 extra base hits, had a home run tonight. I believe it was his 11th. So he's definitely hitting the ball, even though he's a loop, swoop, and pull kind of guy. Doesn't really like hitting it to the opposite field. He just likes pulling it down the left field line. That's his lane. But hey, he's getting on base, extra base hits. His fielding is a liability, but if they keep Kiermaier around, then they can, pull him late in the game and not have as big a liability. And obviously, Kike can play center. Chris Taylor can play center. They have options, right? For sure. But yeah, I feel like they're all heating up at the right time, which is good. But the big question that still hangs over this team is the starting pitching, right? They got through today with a bullpen day, which is nice when it happens, right? But Joe Kelly was not good. Brusdar Graterol came in and pitched 2 innings, struck out 3, the rest zeros. Daniel Hudson is old and probably not going to be on the postseason roster because he just hasn't been good lately. Vesia gave up a home run, but struck out the side. So I feel like he's okay. Evan Phillips is still keeping it rolling. Trinan good. Kopech gave up a home run. But, I'm a fan of Kopech. He can do no wrong in my eyes as far as I'm concerned when he's throwing it up there triple digits. So the starting pitching is still a big question mark for them. Obviously, Yamamoto will be the 1 and Jack Flaherty will be the 2. Probably Walker Buehler, and the 4th slot is probably going to have to be Landon Knack because they don't have any other options. They've sent Bobby Miller down, thankfully. So yeah, you don't have a lot of other options, but I feel like they brought this up the other night. Another thing I'd like your 2 cents on. Oral was asked by Joe Davis, the play-by-play guy, do you think the Dodgers can just outscore teams, right? Like boat race them? And Oro was like, maybe 1 game in a series, but they can't do it all the time. The pitching has to be there, especially the starting pitching. It has to show up, and they have to work into the 5th inning. They can't get, sent packing after 3. That's just the Dodger bullpen will just wither away. So, it feels like the bats are hot. That's a good place to be. Obviously, that week off is scary as hell because the Dodgers don't know how to deal with it. They've talked about the options of trying different things in that week off, but I don't know what that would be. What do you do? Like bring in the minor league team? Do you bring in a college team, like play some real games and stop taking BP for a week? I don't know. It's scary as hell because it hasn't been good for them. But the biggest thing is once they get into the postseason and playing games, they got to get the starting pitching rolling. They just have to. It's a make or break situation.
Yeah, it's a non-negotiable because to your point, or whoever made the point of, maybe you can outslug a team in a game or 2 over the course of a series. Like pitching is the backbone of success in the Major League Baseball postseason. And so at the end of the day, what they use, I think 8 pitchers tonight did the Dodgers or something. I mean, crazy number. They still struck out the Rockies 15 times, which is unfortunately the same old song and dance for them. but you're going to have to figure out a way to establish some consistency. Obviously, Walker Buehler's been a bit of a question mark for some time now as well. But, Yamamoto, you mentioned, is going to be the top Flaherty, some of these other guys, but you're going to have to figure out a way to piece this stuff together. And you also bring up the point of having that week off. What did we just talk about at the beginning of this segment and at the end of the last segment? Momentum. And lose or having that week off sometimes is not a good thing, especially for a team like the Dodgers here. So I'm curious to see how they navigate it. And at the end of the day, there's no question about the talent in the lineup, even with guys like Freeman and Betts struggling as of late. But again, you can't just rely on Shohei Ohtani and company to put the weight of the world on their shoulders. The bullpen is definitely, and the rotation for that matter, is going to have to do their part.
Yeah. Frank asks, if it's not Huddy, then who? Right? I don't know. I like this kid that they brought up when they sent down Michael Grove, which I know a lot of you guys like. A lot of complaints in the comments over the last few days about Michael Grove. I was defending him. I was like, this guy he's way up on the trust tree for me. But this kid that they brought up, and I'm trying to find his name here real quick, but I'll do it after the break. Anyway, he's just like one of those big, burly, wears his jersey too tight and his pants are too tight, and he's just, muscle on top of muscle and throws hard and just has this sort of look on his face the whole time. Kasperitis or something like that. That dude, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you have to have at least one or two guys that have no experience and they're just dumb and eager. Like, all I want to do is throw. I don't care. Like, whatever. I'm just ready to go. Let me go. Wind me up and point me at somebody. So I feel like that guy could potentially make the postseason roster. It's going to be a lot. There'll be a lot of question marks hanging over this postseason roster for sure. We'll get into that a little bit after the break, and maybe you could throw in your 2 cents. He's Aniello, Piro from Denver, Mile High Sports. I'm Pete Fox. Locked On Dodgers postcast. You can find us on the Locked On Sports LA and Denver YouTube channels, and wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers and the Locked On Rockies podcast.
All right, you guys, real quick, let me tell you about our friends over at eBay Motors, because passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to customers in the U.S.
Better late than never. I got the overlay up there right at the very end. eBay Motors, I'm a big fan. I love buying brake parts there. If you ever want to do your own brakes, Aniello, if you go down that road, it saves you so much freaking money. Like, I would say if you went to the store and bought them, it would be like 10% of that number at eBay Motors. Anyway, it's something I am a big fan of and actually do use. It's the Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Rockies crossover postcast. Pete Fox, Aniello, Piro. I'm looking here at the Dodgers bullpen right now, and Frank brings up a pretty good point that, like, as much as I really do not trust Joe Kelly, he's probably going to be there. Same with Daniel Hudson, because you look at, like, I don't know that they're bringing Michael Grove back. Ryan Brazier was very good as the opener tonight. The Kasperius is the guy that I'm talking about. 6'2", 215. So he's a big boy. Brent Honeywell is another one that I like. I feel like, he's okay. And he throws that screwball and he wears short sleeve turtlenecks. So he's a little weird, but I don't know that I trust him. But who else do we have? Like, what other options are there? Unless Michael Grove finds something down there in the next few days. I feel like at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, if you get sent down at this point, isn't that kind of it for you? We're done with you?
Yeah, unless someone gets hurt, is kind of how I look at that situation. And one of the points that you brought up before the break of like you want to have maybe a guy or two that doesn't have a ton of experience, the old saying is ignorance is bliss, right? Maybe sometimes just throwing them into the fire isn't the worst thing in the world. But I think I know that the returns have been great with guys like Hudson and Kelly. These are still veteran guys, right? That have been there and done that. I think of the Joe Kelly mug when he was playing for the Red Sox, against the Dodgers in that World Series a handful of years ago and whatnot. So you hope that talent and experience wins out, but the returns so far in the regular season have made I can understand why the Dodger fan is feeling a little wishy-washy about this bullpen and of course the rotation as well. But yeah, I think you got to roll with the veterans to a certain extent and at least try to trust them as much as you can.
Well, the thing about Joe Kelly is he's one of these guys that gets the job done, but he doesn't do it in a dominant fashion most of the time, right? Sometimes he does. Like, I think it was yesterday or the day before in Miami, had a nice, clean, easy, stress-free inning. Tonight, not the case. We're just like, oh, come on, dude. And ultimately, though, he got it done, right? Gave up a run on a fielder's choice, but beyond that, that was it. Right? He had the bases loaded with no out and he got out of the jam. So he threw 29 pitches. You're just like biting your fingernails. You're going, oh, here we go. And by all accounts, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to look at the result and say, yeah, he gave up a run, but it could have been way worse. And ultimately he got the job done. So tip your cap and move on. Then Brusdar comes in and just mows people down. So that felt better when you compare the two. And then Hudson comes in after Gratterall, and he's a little bit all over the place as well. Gave up a home run, etc. Vesia gave up a home run too. So back to back there. But there's Vesia's without a doubt. He's a guy that they like, especially because he's a lefty. What are your thoughts? There's a lot of rumors floating around, Aniello, about whether or not Shohei will pitch. It's what's today? Today is the 20th. It is 1 year to the day today since the surgery. He had it on September 20th. 2023. They say the normal recovery time for Tommy John is 9 to 12 months. But I think that's if like you or I had Tommy John surgery, not a professional baseball pitcher, because sometimes it goes up to 16 to 18 months for a pitcher to be back to, regular throwing. But Shohei's throwing video all over the place on Instagram and all those other things of him pitching. But I don't know if he's just throwing fastballs or what. I mean, is that just an absolutely ridiculous, crazy scenario to think that he might pitch?
I think I would only use him in an emergency situation. I mean, you're a 90+ win ball club already this season. And you're also like, you paid this dude how much money in the offseason, right? Like, I think you also have to kind of look at it.
$1 million.
But the total length, with the deferred and whatnot.
I know. Yeah.
So I feel like I guess that is a good point. You can maybe justify it a little bit more knowing that you're going to have to pay it over years and years and years. But I think you protect your investment a little bit. And I think ultimately it comes down to Shohei. Like if he goes to the front office and he goes to Dave Roberts and says, you know what, I think I can contribute on the mound, maybe hear him out. But I don't think the Dodgers should force him into that scenario, even with as wishy-washy as the pitching has been this season.
Yeah, no, I mean, Dave Roberts, I think, is just playing coy, saying, well, I'm not ready to rule it out yet. Yeah, well, most people are. But, it would like, if there's a guy that could do it, it would be Shohei, right? Based on the season that he's had, you think like, here's the answer to the question right here. If Shohei wants to pitch, they'll let him pitch.
Yep.
That is exactly it, SC, without a doubt. So we'll see. It's going to be exciting without a doubt. Either way, I'm worried about this Padres series. Fortunately, it's in LA, and I'm also worried about, because look, the probability of the Dodgers not winning the West is pretty low. So they'll have that week off as the 2 seed, potentially the 1 seed. They're battling with the Philadelphia Phillies for the best record in baseball right now. The Phillies are 92-62 and the Dodgers are the same, 92-62. So they're tied for that 1 seed. Padres walked it off against the White Sox tonight, 3-2. So they stay 4 back, and the Diamondbacks with their 3rd consecutive win tonight. They beat Milwaukee 7-4. So they're 6 back. So it feels like, it'll be Padres and Diamondbacks in that wild card game. unless something crazy happens. But I feel like the Dodgers are rolling enough right now. And with 6 of their last 9 against the Rockies, it should be okay.
You would think so. The Rockies have actually been a little bit more competitive in the last week or so. I forget. Let's see. They were off on Thursday. I believe they had won something like 9 of their last 12 or maybe 8 of their last 12 entering into this series against the Dodgers. So they actually are playing a little bit better baseball. But Kyle Freeland's been arguably their best starter since he came back from the injured list, and he got a rock tonight, as we've pointed out throughout the course of the postcast. So, I guess we'll have to see what they can do in the rest of the series. But the Rockies aren't like the White Sox in the sense where like they're just completely helpless. Like they're still playing. Maybe they're not that good. Maybe they're going to strike out double-digit times every single game. But, to your point, Michael Tolia's got some pop in the bat. Chuck Nasty turned back the clock tonight. Tovar and Doyle are the truth. So I know that the Rockies' record is awful, but they're playing hard right now. So, yes, the Dodgers have a little bit of a soft landing here with the Rockies, but they're going to give it their best shot.
I'm assuming Chuck Nasty is Charlie Blackmon.
Yeah, Charlie Blackmon. Sorry, that's our lingo out here in Colorado, which might be his last season as a big league player as well.
He had nearly 2 home runs tonight. Mookie robbed him of 1, and the one he did hit was like he barely swung the bat. I don't know if you play golf at all, but sometimes your best drives are when you're not even really trying and it's just so smooth. And that's what it looked like for that home run. I mean, it was like a 3/4 swing and I'm like, is that gone?
Yeah,
I guess it is, because he just squared it up perfectly. So nice piece of hitting there. But the thing that I was, without a doubt, the Shohei home run was the nicest at bat of the night, because that ball was up and in, and the fact that he was able to get to it, a fastball up and in, no less, and then rip it 423 feet was just remarkable. But another at bat that I was really happy to see was Max Muncy going the other way, because that's not something Max Muncy does a lot. He usually is a guy that pulls it down the right field line, and that's where he's comfortable. But tonight went with a pitch on the outside half, so that's good hitting. I like it when guys are good hitters and, effective at hitting the ball where the pitch is thrown. So Shohei's not always that kind of guy. He's like, I don't care where it's thrown. I'm just going to hit it. So we'll see what he does tomorrow. We're both doing football tomorrow, so we will not be covering the Dodgers and Rockies game 2 of this series, but we'll be back for you in the finale on Sunday. Who do the Buffs have tomorrow?
The Buffs play Baylor tomorrow, and if you know anything about Colorado football, it's a soap opera each time they take the field. So interesting watch, but they got Baylor tomorrow, and then the Broncos are on the East Coast taking on the Buccaneers.
I got Trojans and Michigan Wolverines at 12:35 Pacific. That's going to be a good one. Because if the Trojans are to win that game, that means Michigan will have lost 2 of their first 3, the national champions. Not in a good spot to start this season, to be sure. He's Aniello Piro. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Rockies postcast on the Locked On Sports LA and Denver YouTube channels. And of course, you can download us wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers and Rockies podcast feed. Have a good night. Enjoy your Saturdays. We'll be back with you guys on Sunday to wrap up the series. Aniello, take care. We'll talk to you then. Have a good one.
All right, guys. Always a pleasure, my man.